Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest edition of the World Report. I'm Scott Crowfoot. On today's report, China's currency shock and the president's climate fascism. Just another nail in the coffin in the U.S. economy. Christians are being driven from the Middle East and being abandoned by the United States. Pope Francis says rejection of illegals is an act of war. Bernie Sanders is drawing huge crowds, and Fox News plays gotcha with the GOP debate. Today's moment in history. What president is quoted as saying, "The business of America is business"? And now to our top stories. Opposition to the president's capitulation to Iran is hitting a nerve as loyal liberal Senator Chuck Schumer comes out against the deal and is not backing down. Secretary of State John Kerry attempts to fearmonger, saying the dollar could be dumped as a reserve currency if Congress votes it down. Relieving sanctions and doing nothing to stop the advancement of a nuclear Middle East will have dire implications for decades. Joining me as always is the World Report Senior Advisor, economics blogger for USA Today Online, Maury Beschloss, who can be followed on Twitter at @mbeschloss. Maury, Chuck Schumer has a lot of clout. He's been around for years. Very loyal liberal. Does he have enough influence to do anything here?
He will take Harry Reid's place as the
Minority
loyal
leader.
opposition, yeah.
Does he have enough clout to do anything about this, or is this theater? They're going to vote it for anyways, and so he could say no to try and keep the Jewish coalition behind him.
Yes, I would say the second part is exactly the valid reason for him.
So he's just playing politics with
It's
this.
all politics. The Jewish community doesn't have the clout that the Christian evangelics have, and they're the ones that are really behind Israel 100%, and they're the ones that cheer on Netanyahu. I'm ashamed of the number of people in the Jewish community that still are behind Obama. I'll say it publicly now. I am ashamed of them.
Well, I think there's an old saying, liberal first and religion second, and I think that
Well, it's
pretty
more
much
than that.
sums
It's
it up.
not only religion second, it's state
Country.
the country of Israel, which I think has blossomed in a way that nobody could have expected back in 1948 when that country was born.
What about the United States? I mean, the death to Israel also comes with death to America.
Yeah, the little
we're the great Satan.
And they're the little Satan, that's right.
So they're in the streets chanting death to America every day.
Yes.
I mean, they're putting together intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's not to reach Tel Aviv.
Yeah, first Tel Aviv and then New York City.
Exactly.
That's exactly what they expect to do. But it boggles the mind that there's still people in the Congress and people who should be intelligent enough to understand that this makes Munich, Hitler's Munich, and Chamberlain's
Peace in our time.
peace in our time, his surrender during the second meeting, look puny by comparison.
Now, the regime's rationale for this is that, well, now we're delaying what would have happened now for 10 to 12 years. But they hadn't been able to produce a weapon as of now, and they were going to continue to do it whether we had the sanctions or not. The sanctions were crippling the people. That had an effect. Just like we saw a couple years ago with the uprising that the Americans did nothing about.
2009, if we had shown any support for those people in the street who would have toppled the Ayatollah Khamenei, who was the son of the guy who took over originally in 1979, and that's a history. I think Obama deliberately stayed out of that because he wanted the regime that had made it the most horrible dictatorship since Adolf Hitler. He wanted that country to continue under his thumb because he felt that, in my opinion, that he felt a kinship with the people that were running.
And John Kerry is right there, lock, stock, and barrel with the president. Are they pro-Sunni or are they pro-Shia, anti-Sunni?
No.
What's the rationale here?
I think the rationale is a basic jealousy of what America has become. A white, Western, Christian, Jewish country that has gained a civilization that no country in the world ever even could hope to gain. You know, when you look at this country today, we're tops in natural resources, we're tops in technology, we're top in the things we put out. We still have probably the only pure democracy left in the world today. When you think about it, people still can talk and say what they want. I mean, you may have somebody take issue with you, and if you're doing business with them and you don't agree with them or her, they can retaliate. But we still have basically free speech in this country. There is no fear of the terror of the heavy hand of the government, as far as, not for taxes, that we all fear, but I'm talking about somebody coming in the middle of the night and taking you away.
Well, I think those days are encroaching on us.
No, I don't think
our
so.
civil liberties are being eroded every day.
Yeah, they are, because that's, again, because we have a cowardly Congress. We have people on both sides of the aisle that don't have the guts to come out and speak up, and that's why Trump is so popular, because sometimes the guy sounds like a nutcase to me, but at least he says what people think. And most people, the reason that he's in the polls, he's way ahead, is people know that they themselves would never.
They're tired of the Washington doublespeak, gobbledygook, country club, boys club nonsense.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, the worst thing you could get is Jeb Bush. He's a nice guy. He may be the nicest Bush that ever lived. But you know who his number one advisor is?
Steve Schmidt.
No, James Baker.
Okay.
James Baker.
Same club.
James Baker is a guy, Reagan hated the guy. He had him in, I think, as Commerce Secretary for a while, and then he threw him out. This guy is an appeaser of the worst sort. And if he's Bush's Jeb Bush's number one advisor, you know he's going to do what Baker wants him to do.
And if we would have left it up to the Bushes, Reagan would have never gotten to be president.
Oh,
he had to
absolutely
fight the Bushes tooth and nail back when H.W. Bush was around.
You know something, that was a miracle when you think about it. Do you know that a month before the election
he was losing to Carter
by 30%? That's the amazing thing. Is sometimes I think the powers that be know when to interfere, because I never thought there was a chance. You know, they made him out to be a criminal. Well, which is what made the Ayatollah Khomeini allow our prisoners to go free after being incarcerated for 400 days. And on that basis, they made sure that they were in the air the day that Reagan was basically given the presidency.
And magically they were set free. Let's get back to this deal with Iran now and Chuck Schumer. Does he have any real possibility to stop this deal, or do you think it's a done deal?
No, it's a done deal, because they have. If you go back to the almost 2 terms where Obama has not followed the Constitution, he's found a way to circumvent. I think he deliberately didn't put people to work. When he came into office on January 20th, he should have done what Roosevelt did, and that is put people to work, because our infrastructure was decaying. It's even more decayed now. I mean, highways.
You want to hear a horrible statistic that I just recently came across?
Go ahead.
100% of the job growth in the last 6 years has come to non-American citizens.
What do you mean 100% of the job?
If you look at the percentage of growth versus the percentage of the population, all of it has come at the expense of the American worker. So this is not surprising to a lot of people, but
you can do it any way you want to. I would say in Texas, you had more employees because of the energy was going red hot, and fracking got into the picture and so on. That's interesting, but it's really not the big point. The point is, we have had a president in the White House who hasn't done what's really good for the majority of the American people, and I think it's deliberate. It's not.
I can't think of anything.
It's
that
not accidental.
Can you really think of anything that they've done policy-wise that has been to the benefit of the American people?
No, I'd say there's more things that have been done policy-wise against the American people than for the American people.
Even when public opinion is overwhelmingly like Obamacare. The public was never for that, and they still are.
Well, you know, we're lucky that there was, when the Tea Party really hit its apex, that they were able to elect enough people so cap and trade didn't get forced on the American people. If you recall, that would have really killed us, knowing they would have crippled our energy program to the nth degree.
Well, and it's interesting because now he's found that if he goes to the UN, he can trump, pardon the pun, the U.S. Congress by saying, wow, the whole world is on my side.
No, it's worse than that. He has literally opened the door to these cowardly countries in Europe especially, you know, especially France and Italy and Spain and all those countries that don't care if Iran has the atom bomb because they know they're not going to get hit. They probably secretly feel, well, you know, the United States, if they don't come to terms with Iran once they have the bomb, whatever happens after that, it's their fault.
And they have it, and Israel has it, and so why shouldn't everybody have access to it? That's the mentality.
Surprisingly, that hasn't been played too hard because it's so ridiculous that neither the United States or Israel has shown any desire to use that bomb other than in self-defense.
Let's hope it stays that way. We need to step away for a brief moment. When we return, our economic and energy update, global outlook, political insider, and a whole lot more. We get questions from people all over the world. Just email your question or video to Maury@theworldreport.org, and you might see yours featured right here. Remember to like us, recommend us, and leave comments.